So today I want to talk about what kind of data are we collecting for our insights reports. So number one, first and foremost, we start off with annual soil testing. That's so we know what our nutrients levels were when we started versus what they are at the end of the season when we're done. So now we can start looking at nitrogen. Something like nitrogen use efficiency would be something that we need this information for. In the reports, we also track nutrient levels over time. So having annual soil testing, we can start looking at trend lines. Are our soil nutrient levels trending up or down? Just to give us an indication of how well we're doing in that case. Second piece of information that we collect are seed varieties, as well as seeding rates and dates. So this helps us compare yield to, what's our yield by variety? What's our yield by seeding rates? Do we have to go higher seeding rates or lower? What's the optimal? And then seeding dates as well. Are we better to plant canola early or plant canola late? Same with the other crops. Third and foremost, the biggest piece of information are the fertility practices and our 4Rs. So product, time, rate, and placement. Now we can start looking, same thing again. How does the products affect our yields? Do we have more success using NH3 versus urea versus UAN? Our timing, fall versus spring, rates that we're putting on, as well as placement. Broadcast versus sideband versus seed placed or mid-row, so on and so forth. So lastly, the next piece of information we collect are yields. So a lot of this data is available. Like a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll give us their crop insurance data because it's all there, or most of it is there, that we can just pluck that data. It's very simple, basic information. But because we're pooling it with so many other operations, we can really start to tease out some of these things. And I'll give you a couple of examples in these slides here. So in this slide here, we were looking at soybean yields versus phosphate fertilizer. So when you look at the different soil test ppms, we notice that there's a 6 bushel yield loss roughly if our soils are below 10 ppm. So can we fix that? Possibly. In our heavy clay soils, it's tough to raise our phosphate ppms without adding something like manure or compost. But it's something that we can still use because we can say, when we're setting our target yield goals, we know that our soybean yields are going to perform better on soils that are higher ppm of residual phosphate in the background. Picking on soybeans again, here's a second example. This is yield versus phosphate fertilizer. So the blank fields here, it's just because there's missing a 0 in our tables, but it would fall under the 0 applied fertilizer as well. So you can see that we have, low 30s for a yield, but we've got a significant response on a number of fields where we're putting on 20 pounds of phosphate in the seed row. If we look at higher rates of phosphate, we don't seem to be getting a response. And I think that's because I kind of gave it away. 20 pounds of seed placed, these higher rates that are likely broadcast in the fall or in the spring ahead of seeding, and that's more for maintenance to replace what we're taking out from the soybean crop. So these are just a few examples of how we're using the insights data, or how we're using standard data that most producers are collecting, but because we're able to apply it across a broader number of farms and number of fields, we are able to tease out some of these trends and learn from it to say, what are the best management practices that we should or should not be doing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, make sure that you check out the hashtag Antara Insights to look at the rest of the videos in the series. Check out our website to learn more. And if you're going to Brandon Ag Days, Insights will be in the Innovation Showcase. We're in the running for an award under the Agribusiness category. We look forward to seeing you at the show. Thanks again. Have a great day.